Hey friends, it is Lacey again from the Content Direction Agency, and I am here for your weekly content debrief 15 minutes of actionable content marketing information you can use. And this week, I want to start with a story of a client of mine from several years ago. We're going to call him Jim. I don't want to use real names. Don't want to call anybody out here, but we're going to call this guy Jim. And Jim came to me with a really interesting problem. So Jim had on paper what I would call like the perfect business. Jim was an expert in his field. He was in a professional field. And he had learned to use this software that professionals in his field needed for their job. And he found that a lot of people didn't know how to use it very well. So he started creating training courses for this software. And he even had permission from the software manufacturer, who also recommended him and promoted him pretty frequently, right? So here you have a really niche audience. You've got something that people in that audience really need. And you've got a huge way to promote yourself for free, right? Or himself for free. So he was doing really well in that sense. He had about 10,000 people on his email list. He was doing everything right. He was writing a blog post every week. He was sending out an email every week. He was communicating with his people. He was getting new people on his email list, new leads all the time. But the problem was, he wasn't seeing the kind of sales he wanted to see. And so he came to me looking for a strategy to turn his content into better sales. So first of all, I was kind of like, wow, this is crazy. You've got like the perfect business on paper, right? Why are you not getting more sales? And as we started digging deeper into his content strategy, I discovered that he was making the same mistake that I see a lot of small business owners making. He was creating all this content every week. He was sending it out every week, and he wasn't seeing any sales. So I would like you to hit the like button or leave me a little comment if you think you know what he was doing wrong. But the idea here that I want to stress is that even if you have all the other pieces of your business figured out, if you're missing this one thing in your content marketing, you're going to have problems, right? It's not going to work the way you think it should. And this is one big reason why I keep seeing people talking about that blogging is dead, or that content marketing doesn't work anymore. Blogging is dead. Blogging is old school, et cetera, et cetera. So what was happening with Jim's content was he was being incredibly useful. He was putting out a great blog post about how to do things his audience wanted to know about every single week. But what he wasn't doing is he wasn't aligning that content with what he wanted to sell. So he had all these courses and he would launch them and he'd get a bunch of sales when he launched it, right? Because he's talking about it. And then it would go into this like evergreen library of courses he had to sell, and he would never talk about it again. And so the only sales he was seeing in his back catalog was people who happened to like go in and click around on his website and find what they were looking for. But he wasn't mentioning the old courses to new people. He wasn't aligning his content with what he wanted to sell, whether that was old or new. And so people were coming onto his list all the time. He was getting new people who had no idea that he had created these courses maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. They were still relevant. They were still useful. But he wasn't speaking to those people. He wasn't aligning his content strategically with what he wanted to sell. And so I see this happen quite frequently, especially with people who have evergreen products or services, right? Products or services that are always available, always on, you can buy them anytime. My service is a great example of that, right? You can engage me to do a strategy session for you or to have our team blog for you any day of the year. We're pretty much here. Maybe not Christmas Day, but just about any other time of the year, we're here. And so if I don't remind people of that, if I don't align my content with what I want to sell, new people are going to have no idea what I do, right? New people are not going to know how to get on my calendar. They're not going to know how to buy my thing. And the same thing was happening with his back catalog of courses. So when we created a strategy for him, I actually helped him create some sort of artificial sales cycles where he could create content that was specifically referring to one of these problems that these courses solved for his people. And at the end, he could very organically say, and if you want to learn more about this, I have this course. Well, guess what's going to happen when you do that? The more you organically talk about what you do or what you have to sell or remind people that you can solve their problem, the more sales you're going to see. Now, this is also true when you have a launch going on, right? So again, I'm not going to call out names or anything like that, but I'm in a mastermind group right now, and one of our wonderful, wonderful business coaches who's in the mastermind group with me is going through a launch right now, right? She has spaces open for a group coaching program. And in our mastermind group meeting last week, one of the other people was like, you've been doing such amazing work on social media. I love what you've been posting on social media. And she said, you haven't been giving people a way to sign up. So my friend in the mastermind group is posting these incredible things on social media, really doing some really great writing and not mentioning her program at all. My friend and mentor Tanya Geisler talks about this as slipping it into the water and not making any waves, right? She may have, in fact, I know for sure that this friend of mine had announced that spots were open at some point, right? The card is open or whatever she's calling it for this program. But since then, she's been just slipping these things into the water and not making any waves. Well, friends, that is not how we make sales. And so we very lovingly reminded her that it's not a bad thing to remind people. Like when you write this gorgeous blog post or this gorgeous, I can't talk today, gorgeous social media post, it's perfectly valid to add on at the end. And by the way, if you'd like some more help with this, I have this program you can sign up for right now. The point is, when your content is not strategically aligned with what you want to sell, it's not going to do you any good. And honest to God, it's almost a waste of time. If you're spending hours and hours a week crafting blog posts that don't have anything to do with what you want to sell or how you want to serve people, I don't know why you're spending that time. I really don't, because the whole point of a blog post is to remind people, keep you top of mind when they're ready to buy, and remind them how to do that, right? The other thing to consider here is that people are coming in and joining you at all times. Like I've got a little counter right here on the video that tells me how many people are watching. And so somebody just joined. Somebody just started watching. Hi, by the way, if that's you. So they haven't heard the first part of this video, right? They don't even know what the heck I'm talking about. The point is, people are doing that in your email sequences as well, right? So you're getting new leads, new people joining your email, new people following you on social media all the time if you're doing things right? Even if it's just one or two, there's still new people. And if you announced, 3-4 weeks ago that you were selling something, but you haven't brought it up since then, they don't know. They might be a perfect fit for that thing. Hi, Karen. I know you're watching. They might be a perfect fit for whatever you are selling, but you haven't told them. You haven't responded to them. And so in a bigger picture way, right, if we go back to my friend Jim, who had all these courses in his back catalog that were available, he wasn't telling the new people, right? He was getting quite a few leads. Let's say, I'm just going to make this up. Let's say he's getting 50 to 100 new people joining his list every month. Well, unless he had a really great welcome sequence, which I don't believe he did, telling people what was available, they have no idea that he has a back catalog of courses that they can buy. So he's actually doing them quite a service to remind them. Sean says, this is my challenge in Quest right now to do this better. Yes, Quest. And it doesn't have to be super difficult, but it's all about planning ahead and aligning the content you're producing with what you want to sell. And so as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you have evergreen products and services, you can kind of create artificial sales cycles based on your content, right? So you can spend a month talking about topic number 1, which leads to product number 1. And then the next month you can talk about topic number 2, which leads to product number 2. That's what I mean when I say create artificial sales cycles. But even though product 1 and product 2 are always available, you're just spending a little time talking about each one and reminding people that those things are available. Do you have to spend a whole month talking about one thing? No, you do not. And in fact, you can do it however makes sense for you. I like to plan out my content in a spreadsheet so that I can see it in the big picture, because maybe you want to make sure you're cycling through and mentioning older products regularly, right? Sean says she's just started turning old social media posts into blog posts. Excellent point, Sean, because, right, to our point, there are new people who haven't seen those posts. And also, P.S., a lot of times we think that, oh, people are going to recognize and notice that I'm recycling content. No, they're not. Even your mother, who loves you dearly, probably is not paying enough attention to say, like, hey, I think I read that blog post last year, right? So Sean is doing a great idea, because not everybody on her list saw those posts the first time around. And if they did, they probably don't remember. And she's turning it into a different type of content. So they're probably not even going to notice that it was something she said before, right? So all this to say, the biggest mistake that I teased at the top of this video that I see small business owners making when it comes to content is not taking that extra bit of time to align their content plan with what they want to sell. And this should be done no matter whether you have your evergreen product or something you're launching or whatever. Like, before I got on this video, was putting together a strategy session report for a client. And I actually wrote out in there for her, remember, we have 2 whys. And I know I've beat this drum before, but bear with me. The first why is why people are coming to us. What do they want to get out of the content? And the second why, which is the one that a lot of business owners miss, is why are we doing this for the business? How is it going to benefit the business, right? And if you're not aligning your content with those 2 whys, you're not going to see results. You're just not. And that's why people think blogging is dead. It's not dead. It's just that the spaghetti against a wall method doesn't really work. But when you make a plan, I've seen it work. I've seen it work exceptionally well for my clients and even for me. So the point here is blogging does work, but you got to have that strategic plan. And here's me modeling my advice for you. If you need some help with that, that's what we do. That's my jam. So I help people create strategic plans for their content. So if you're thinking like, yes, ding, 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 Lacey, this sounds like something I definitely need, you want to go to lacyboggs.com/undercover. And that has a big red button where you can fill out a short form and get on my calendar to chat with me about how I can help you create that strategic plan for your content. Karen says, I'm turning old but great newsletter Q&As into a book. Yes, because Karen's Q&As are awesome. And that's a great way to repurpose old content. Whether you're doing it for like Karen's traditionally published, so she's turning it into a book that we will be able to hold in our hot little hands. But anybody can do this. You can turn it into an ebook that's a download on your website. You could turn it into an ebook like a Kindle, or you could submit it to be traditionally published. All of those things are super valid. And Karen's saying she's realizing that she hasn't focused on the second why. Yeah, that's super common, Karen. It's super duper common, because we have to remember, like, what do we hope this piece of content will do for our business? And often the way to align that is very, very simple, and is to make sure we're making a strong but organic, natural call to action in each piece of our content. So in Karen's case, she does Q&As in her newsletters. All it might be is adding a line to the end of the newsletter that says, by the way, if you're struggling with a similar topic, you might want to buy my book. The end. Or if you're struggling with a similar topic, I do offer some one-on-one coaching. I happen to know what Karen does for a living, so I can offer these specific examples for her. But even just one little line at the end of her newsletter will help her align producing that content with the why for her business. All right, friends, my 15 minutes is up. So if you got some awesome takeaways from this, I would love to hear about it in the comments, or give me a like or a share if you're feeling really frisky today. Otherwise, I will be here next week, same time, same channel. It is Tuesday at noon Mountain Time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Why is that so hard for me? I need to just put a little sticky note so I can just read it off every week. Anyway, I'll catch you next week. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.